Summer. Day 67, Holyhead. Route. Tredoor, Holyhead, Tredoor. County. Gwynedd. I was going to be having a chat with Michelle Ivanowski today after seeing his exhibition Go Home Polish in Aberystwyth. I sent him an email and asked if he might be up for walking together. Unfortunately, he was busy, but he said he'd like to have a chat. Today I had planned a circular walk, which starts at the Valley of the Rocks campsite and follows the road northwest to connect with the Anglesey coastal path at Porth de Farach. I was then going to follow the coastal path right the way around to Holyhead Mountain through South Stacks Cliffs Nature Reserve. The signal was sketchy, and because I don't like to stop walking once I've started, I was hoping that Michelle wouldn't call until later. This was the first time on the walk that I'd done a longer distance walk without my heavy rucksack, and I felt weightless walking through the South Stacks. I kept on having to stop myself from running and walking too quickly. With this lightness, I was able to crouch down at will and inspect the thick rubbery stems of cliff vegetation, such as thrift, sea campion, bird's trefoil and kidney vetch, which felt more akin to astroturf than the delicate bladed plants further inland. On the walk so far, I'd mostly stuck to lower level walking and valleys because of the weight of my rucksack and trying to stick to a time schedule. Therefore, walking through the South Stacks Nature Reserve today felt like a real treat. As I came to the RSPB car park for Ellen's Tower, the public footpaths and roads grew busier. Ellen's Tower is a strikingly white Victorian building that looks like a castle and was a gift from husband to wife. It's a hot spot for painters, long-limbed climbers and birdwatchers who come here to watch in awe the thousands of puffins, guillemots and kittiwake, which I was told by an RSPB member of staff had left just 3 weeks ago. The birds nest in their thousands on the tiny bits of rock which shoot loose from the mainland. I pulled out my phone to check for signal and see if Michelle responded to my message. No signal. An RSPB member came over and he said, "Hello." He was originally from Stafford, but had moved up a few years ago. He told me about the work of the RSPB and asked if I'd like to join. I told him I was on a pretty tight budget, but I signed up anyway. The RSPB, or the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, is a charitable organisation which works to promote conservation and protection of birds and the wider environment through public awareness campaigns, petitions, and through the operation of nature reserves throughout the UK. Here at South Stacks, the RSPB have been involved in preserving rare flowers like the South Stack fleawort, which only grows here on the Holy Island. Breeding seabirds, including the chow, for which there are only 100 pairs in the whole of Wales, and 6 or so pairs here, and conserving insects such as the silver-studded blue butterfly. After visiting the gift shop to find out more information about the RSPB, I began my walk up South Stacks, walking with haste and hopping down the stairs. On my way up to the Holyhead Mountain, I met a couple who were on a driving tour of Britain. They were stopping at what they considered to be the most scenic spots: Norwich, the Lake District and Cornwall. I took their photograph for social media before we exchanged stories, and the lady proceeded to take my photograph. Since coming to Ellen's Tower, the paths have grown busy, and this has made it much more difficult to find a spot to go for a quick wee. Dropping down into Holyhead, I passed fun fairs and past a house. All the downstairs windows were open, and sitting in the window were 3 white caged birds, whistling. As I rounded the corner onto the high street, I passed a sad-looking young girl. She was being cuddled by a lady. "You take care of yourself now, won't you?" she said to the little girl in that familiar kind of tone of a holiday goodbye. When at that age, the time in between now and the next school holidays feels inconceivable. Debating whether to go for a coffee or not, I went down to the art centre to see if they had any contemporary exhibitions, but they only had one local one. I popped into the coffee shop, and on the door there was a sign: "No hot meals today due to staff shortage." A teenage girl served me. I said, "Can I have the £1.40 coffee with steamed milk, please?" She misheard me and made me a brew, mixing together the cold milk, tea bag and hot water with a steaming wand. Just as I was leaving Holyhead, on a bench on the A5154, Michelle called to have a chat. Distance, 18.1 kilometres. Total distance, 1,230.78 kilometres.